Here are all the new features in Metric AB version 1.1. Let's start with the playback page. The playback page has several new enhancements. You can apply the current playback mode to all tracks by selecting Apply to All Tracks from the menu. Latch mode playback now starts from the active cue point after a preset or session has been loaded. Selecting the B track now toggles the AB stream, so there's no need to reach over to the AB button when you want to toggle between tracks. We've added time readouts for the current playhead position, cue and loop marker position. Cue points can now be clicked on the waveform overview. For loading tracks, you can now load a folder of tracks via the Import Folder command found in the Presets menu. Please note, this will overwrite all the current loaded tracks. To manually edit the order of tracks, click on the track name and drag it to a new position. If the destination is already occupied, it will swap places with the new track. Select Organize Tracks from the track menu to automatically organize tracks. This will bunch all tracks together and shuffle any empty cells to the end. Gain faders. Both the A and B streams now have faders to turn the volume up or down by 18 dB. This can be useful when you have already used the loudness match function to change the gain for individual B stream tracks, and you want to calibrate all of them to a new A stream mix. Another scenario is when you are mastering your mix, and it's getting incrementally louder as you add more compression and limiting, so you only need to adjust the B fader a little to keep all the B track levels matched. All changes to the gain are pre-analysis, so you will see exactly what you hear in the analysis display. The filter bank graph. When the mouse hovers over the analysis graph, it now shows a crosshair with the frequency in hertz and the MIDI note. It also shows a third value relevant to the analysis mode. For spectrum, it also shows the volume in dBs. For correlation, it shows the phase. For stereo image, it shows the left-right pan position. You can now edit the high and low values for the filter directly on the graph. Move the mouse to the edge of the selected range, the crosshair will hide, and you can now drag the boundary to the desired frequency. You can select above or below the current range by clicking anywhere inside the desired range. The zoom now follows the range selection. If you select above or below the range, you will see the zoom update, the display to show you the new selection. The filter preset buttons. You can now toggle the filter on/off by clicking on the preset button. If you edit the value for the button, you can save the settings as default by right-clicking and select Save as Default. Now when you toggle, it will retain the new values. Otherwise, it will revert to the original default. There are now a choice of 4 filter slopes: 12 dB, 24 dB, 36 dB, and 48 dB. Filter automation and MIDI control. The filter parameters are now exposed to the host of automation and MIDI controllers. This means you can toggle the filters on and off, select the different preset buttons, and edit the high and low values. You can assign the loudness match button to MIDI control. It will activate loudness matching for the selected track. The monitor section. The monitor section has been expanded to include a new option, Solo in Place. This only affects the left and right channel selections, allowing you to hear the left and right channel in place. When Solo in Place is not selected, the left or right channel is duplicated in both sides to monitor in mono. The analysis mode. The analysis metrics are now computed with loudness match gain applied. This means any gain changes to the B stream are reflected in the analysis graphs, so you now see what you hear and hear what you see. The analysis meter hold times are now settable down to 0.1 second. Use the Shift key modifier when editing to set precise values. Infinite average mode. You can now set the average time to infinite. This allows the analyzer to build up a picture of the track over time, showing the average values for the whole track. To set average to infinite, increase the values to maximum. It will display infinite in the box. You can do this for the spectrum, correlation, and stereo image. This can be much more useful for understanding the true frequency content than just trying to understand the momentary values. Ballistics. You can now save your favorite ballistic values as defaults. They will load automatically every time you open a new instance of metric AB. Right-click on any of the ballistics number boxes and select Save as Default from the menu. It will save all three values for the current analysis mode. Dynamics display. The Dynamics page features a new display showing the current PSR as a large 3-digit number. It also displays the description matching the PSR value below to help make associations between dynamic qualities and PSR values. The % above target value has also been grouped into the box for added convenience. Let's look at the expanded settings panel. Click on the settings icon to access the settings. General settings. These settings are turned on and off by the user for this instance of the plugin. Graphics latency. Click the box to synchronize the audio with the visual display for the spectrum, correlation, and stereo image meters. Under normal circumstances, the visuals lag a few milliseconds behind the audio. This is natural because the meters have to analyze the sound before they can display the results. When the visual results are totally in sync with the audio, you will see what you hear and hear what you see. The difference in perception is sublime. Transients and decaying sounds are instantly recognizable as everything becomes sharper. Now your mind is able to make better associations between the audio and visual images. Because this introduces a lag in the audio, it's not ideal for situations where you are using a MIDI keyboard to record performances. Tooltips. Click this box to activate Tooltips. Hover over a button, display, or any area of the plugin to find out what it does and how it works. B-Track Selection Resets Analysis. Click this box if you want the analysis window to reset when you select a new B-Track. This is useful when you only want to see data for the current track and not the previous tracks as to avoid any confusion. This works for history graphs, loudness, and dynamic measurements. Default settings. These settings are saved and become the defaults for when a new instance of the plugin is opened. Load default preset. If you have created a default preset, then this will automatically load the default preset when a new instance of the plugin is opened. Meter zoom. This will make the output meter scale to 18 dB range instead of the factory default of 48 dB. You can also click on the meter itself to toggle between 18 dB and 48 dB at any time. Default Playback Mode. Select the default playback mode for all B tracks between latch, cue, sync, and manual. Now when you load a B track, it will automatically select this mode for you. You can also change the playback mode for all cells on the playback page. Click on the Playback Mode button and select Apply to all tracks. Ballistic Defaults. Set the default values for all three FFT meters, spectrum, correlation, and stereo pan. Click Factory Defaults to restore the factory default values. You can also set the defaults of the analysis panel by right-clicking on any of the ballistic values and selecting Save Ballistics as Default from the menu. FFT Settings. Select the current settings for the FFT window and the multiband mode. You can save the current settings as the defaults by clicking Save FFT Defaults or Save Multiband Defaults. Click the Factory Defaults button underneath each group to restore the factory settings. Filter bank. Edit the default settings for the filter bank and filter slope. Please note, this does not edit the current settings. You can edit the current settings for the filter button presets and save them as defaults by right-clicking the preset button and selecting Save as Default. Click on the Close button to close the settings window. You can also use the Settings icon button on the Analysis menu to close the window. Mouse and keyboard control. Double-click Reset to Default Value. Place your mouse above any knob and turn the mouse wheel to increase or decrease values. Shift plus scroll wheel allows for fine-tuning of any knob.